Hello everyone, I am Aryan Saha. I am an MBBS student from Nepal Medical College, and in this video I'll be continuing with renal tumors. So before watching this video, I would request all of you to watch my first video on renal tumors, where I have discussed about the important points regarding the classification of renal tumors, where I have also discussed about the important points regarding the each subvariants and regarding the familial variants of the renal cell tumors and the different syndromes associated with it. I've also discussed on the clinical features and also regarding the paraneoplastic syndrome that we manifest in renal tumors. And this video will be dedicated towards the diagnosis, especially the diagnosis that we consider on the pathology basis. So we'll be diagnosing on the basis of histological parameters and the gross features as well in a bit. So we'll be discussing not everything, but we'll be discussing the high yield points that is important for board examinations and is important for PG examinations as well for the entrance purpose. Right? So there is more to everything than what you read. So let us begin with the clinical features that I have discussed in the last video. So in your OPD there will be a elderly male who is usually age 65 years old, and he will be presenting you with a classical triad. He may be presenting with you, but it is not sure that all the features of this classical triad of renal cell carcinoma will be present in everyone. It may or may not be present, but what is usually seen in renal cell cancer is that we will be seeing a classical triad of palpable abdominal mass with hematuria and costovertebral pain. And these are the classical triad of features that we'll be seeing in patient with a renal cell carcinoma, and that will be an elderly male who is usually a 65 years old, and he will be having additional features like malaise. He will be having additional features like fever, and he'll also be having features like weight loss as well. So and also there can be elaboration of certain hormones, and these hormones related features that we call as paraneoplastic syndromes may also be manifested. So symptoms may vary, but it is most frequently presenting manifestation is hematuria, as I've already discussed in the first video. So hematuria is the most frequently presenting manifestation, and there is a triad of painless hematuria, a palpable abdominal mass, and also a dull and flank pain near the costovertebral joint. And there can be extra renal manifestation as a part of a paraneoplastic syndrome, and that may manifest with polycythemia. It can be resulting into in elaboration of hormones like substances which can result into hypercalcemia. It can result into hypertension when there will be elaboration of hormones like renin. By elaboration of hormones like ACTH, it can also result into Cushing syndrome and also resulting into feminization or masculinization. And I have already said feminization of a very old male is susceptible for hyperestrogenemia. And if you exclude all the endocrine causes, then one of the very important cause will be your renal cell carcinoma, as renal cell carcinoma will be having elaboration of hormone that is known as estrogen, and this estrogen can result into feminization as well. So how do we diagnose? So for diagnosis of renal cell carcinoma, you will first suspect the clinical features and certain signs regarding the renal cell carcinoma, and the investigation of choice becomes your CT scan. And the CT scan that is done is contrast enhanced CT scan. So contrast enhanced CT scan is the investigation of choice, and it will show the extent of disease. So how extensive the disease is also shown by contrast enhanced CT scan, because you don't want to perform invasive technique for biopsy for diagnosis everywhere. So first you suspect a cancer via the clinical features, then you perform a CCT, that is contrast enhanced CT scan, and then if you will be suspecting there is sure shot there will be a cancer. So for diagnosing the variant of a cancer, then you can perform renal biopsy. So renal biopsy can be done, and always histology and the histological parameters are usually the best diagnostic way to diagnose most of the forms of cancer. But the investigation of choice remains CCT to be known, and then we will be performing biopsy, and in the biopsy we'll be looking at the microscopic features, and we can then classify the tumor as it can be clear cell carcinoma, it can be primary renal cell carcinoma, sorry, papillary renal cell carcinoma, and it can be chromophobe cell carcinoma, and then histological classification is done. So these are the very common variants of renal cell carcinoma, and the most common variant is the clear cell variant of the renal cell carcinoma. Also, there can be uncommon variants, like the uncommon variants can be Benelli duct cancer, or it can be medullary cancer, so medullary renal cell carcinoma, or it can be chromosome XP11 mutation renal cell carcinoma, so XP11 mutation RCC. can also be there, and these are the less common variants of renal cell carcinoma. So let us discuss with the most common variant of renal cell carcinoma, and that is our clear cell carcinoma. As it has been mentioned, 70 to 80% of the renal cell carcinoma is our clear cell carcinoma, and it is a majority, and it can be in two forms. It can be either familial form or it can be sporadic form. So familial form are less common as compared to sporadic, and sporadic are more common. But the matter of fact that either whether it can be familial or whether be sporadic, both has will be having a mutation on the chromosome number 3p. So chromosome number 3p, there will be a presence of a gene, and this gene is known as von Hippel-Lindau gene, and there will be mutation of this gene. And as I have discussed in the previous video, it is associated with a familiar form, and that is known as von Hippel-Lindau disease. So there can be manifestation of pheochromocytoma with renal cell tumors, and also we can also manifest with hemangioblastoma of the cerebellum and also in the retina as well. So in this gene defect, there will be increased amount of hypoxia inducible factor, and that will result into vasculogenesis, as well as it will result into tumor cell cytogenesis, and that will result into manifestation of a tumor, and that tumor is your clear cell carcinoma. And whenever we are seeing clear cell carcinoma, as I've already discussed in von Hippel-Lindau disease, it can be autosomal dominant variant, so it can manifest with hemangioblastoma in the cerebellum and kidney, that I've already discussed in the last video. Patient can present with bilateral renal cyst, and also multiple clear cell carcinomas can be manifested in patient with von Hippel-Lindau syndrome, and it can be seen in up to 40 to 60% of cases, patient with von Hippel-Lindau syndrome. So as discussed, von Hippel-Lindau gene, it is a tumor suppressor gene, and for the tumor to happen, there should be loss of both the genes, and hence there should be loss of function mutation. So there should be loss of function mutation, and it is occurring via deletion of chromosome number 3p. So deletion of chromosome number 3p, and that is known as aneuploidy. So the pattern of inheritance can be aneuploidy, or there can be translocation of this chromosome number 3 in other loci, which is very less active, like translocation of at 3, 6, translocation at 3, 8, or translocation at 3, 11. So whenever this gene is translocated in this loci, then what happens is that the activity of the tumor of this tumor suppressor gene will be decreased, and because of the decreased activity will result into increased hypoxia inducible factor, and that will manifest with papillary variant, clear cell variant of the renal cell carcinoma, which is the most common variant. And whenever we are looking at the cancer in the histological or the gross pattern, we can appreciate the tumor is usually arising in the cortex of the, so this, let us consider this is a kidney, and the tumor will arise at the cortex of the kidney, and most commonly it will arise at the upper pole of the kidney, but it can arise anywhere along the cortex, and most commonly you must be knowing that it is arising in the cortex. So in cortex, histologically, what we find? We can find proximal convoluted tubular cells, and hence these tumor cells are arising from the PCT cells, and the cell of origin is PCT. It is also to be known as it can be asked in MCQ as well. So whenever we see the tumor histologically, we can appreciate a lot of cells, and these cells have water clear cytoplasm. Let's consider these are different cells, and in this cell there is a we can appreciate hyperchromatic nuclei. So we can appreciate the hyperchromatic nuclei, and the cytoplasm of cell is very clear. So there is a clear cytoplasm, and most probably it is because due to accumulation of lipid, or it can be due to accumulation of glycogen. So it can be due to accumulation of lipid or glycogen, and during the processing or of the histological slides, this gets washed away and resulting into formation of, we can see, very round to polygonal cells. So we can appreciate round and polygonal cells having clear appearing cytoplasm, and this is known as clear cells, and hence this tumor is known as clear cell carcinoma of variant of renal cell carcinoma. So as I've already said, grossly, if it is a familial variant, then the tumor can be multifocal and bilateral, but mostly as it is a sporadic variant, the tumor usually presents as solitary large spherical mass, and this mass can be up to 3 to 15 centimeter in diameter. As I have already said, it usually arises in the cortex, most probably being in the up and the side. The cell of origin is the PCT cell to be known, and also it arises in the upper pole most commonly. And whenever we cut the, if this is a tumor of, let's say this is a kidney, and we can appreciate a tumor like this. And on the cut surface, if we see the cut surface of the tumor, we can appreciate yellow to orange color, or even to gray-white color with prominent area of cystic softening or hemorrhage can be appreciated. Why does it look like this? Because I have already said the cells of the tumor the tumor cells are usually they are loaded with lipid or glycogen, and due to loading of this lipid or glycogen like material, hence the tumor will be appearing yellow to orange in color. But if the tumor is associated with some degree of scarring, so as I've already shown in this diagram, we can appreciate different tumor cells. So let me change this color. So we can appreciate different tumor cell, and in between the tumor cell there is a stroma, right? There is a stroma, there is a fibrovascular we can appreciate this stroma having blood vessels as well. If the amount of the stroma is increased, then it may result into gray white color of the tumor. And whenever there can be, if the tumor is very severe enough, that can result into cystic softening of the tumor and along with hemorrhage in the tumor as well. So whenever we see this tumor, as we can appreciate, the margin of the tumor is very well defined. So margin are very well defined, and sometimes we can even appreciate satellite like nodules. They can be found in the surrounding substance as well. So let us see the tumor grossly. So we can appreciate this tumor. So we can see this. So this is our tumor, and it can be up to, as I said, it can be up to 3 to 15 centimeter in diameter. And we can appreciate it is yellow to orange in color. So it is yellow to orange in color, and it is usually seen in the cortex. You see, it is present in the cortex. So this tumor is present in the cortex, and these are all the parameters that we can expect grossly in case of clear cell variant of the renal cell carcinoma. And as the tumor, as I have also seen, this tumor does not have area of hemorrhage or necrosis in this diagram. But if the tumor is severe enough, it can result into formation of hemorrhage and necrosis along with some cystic degeneration as well. So if this tumor enlarges, so we can see. So let me make a kidney here with the pelvis and the calyces. So let us consider if there is a tumor here. If the tumor is large enough, if it grows continuously, then it can invade or it can grow up to the renal pelvis. So it can grow up to the renal pelvis, and it can go up to the ureter as well. So this can happen if the tumor will grow large enough. So we can appreciate that if tumor is large, it may fumigate through the wall of the collecting system, and it can extend through the calyces and even reach to the pelvis or even reach to the ureter as well, as I have shown in that diagram. So frequently what happens is that the renal cell tumor is this tumor. So we can, let me change the color of this. So if we can appreciate that this tumor, it is sometimes what happens, this tumor will be invading the this is our renal vein. And why this tumor will invading the renal vein, it will reach into the systemic circulation via reaching into the inferior vena cava, and from the inferior vena cava it will reach in the right heart. So we can appreciate the course of the tumor, and hence we can will be knowing that it is this tumor will be metastasizing via the blood vessel, and it will be angioinvasive in nature. And because of this angioinvasion, it will invade the renal vein, and via the renal vein invasion, it will reach into the inferior vena cava, and via the inferior vena cava, it reaches the right heart, and it will metastasize. And the most common site of metastasis is our lungs. So the most common site of metastasis is lungs. It is followed by bones. So of course, so the most common site being the lungs, and the next one is the bone. It can also metastasize to liver and other sites as well. But you must remember the most common site remains the lungs. So the same thing that I have written here. So the tumor will invade the renal vein, and it will grow and sometimes even extend as far as to inferior vena cava and even reach into the right side of the heart. So this has been written here, and this is the same diagram that I have been showing in the previous slide as well. So what do we expect in the microscopy? As I've already said, the tumor will be round to polygonal in cell. So we can appreciate round cell or polygonal tumor cell. And this tumor cell will be having a very prominent nuclei with a prominent nucleoli. So large nuclei with a prominent nucleoli. And we can appreciate this cytoplasm. See, this cytoplasm is very clear. So we can clear cytoplasm is there. And why does this cytoplasm appear clear is because of the fact that there is accumulation of the lipid or glycogen. So depending on the amount of lipid and the glycogen which is present in the tumor cell can be can appear almost vacuolated. See these tumor cells, and what can we just observe is the cytoskeleton only. So if the in case the tumor does not have enough accumulation of the glycogen and lipid, then in that case the tumor may appear solid as well. So classically what we appreciate is the vacuolated form, where the tumor will be lipid laden, and these cells are known as clear cell, and they are demarcated only by their cell membrane. So this is one clear cell and this is another clear cell, and they are demarcated only by their cell membrane. So this is one clear cell, this is one clear cell, and demarcated only by their cell membrane. So we can appreciate it right here. So we can appreciate different these are all the clear cell. We can only appreciate the cytoplasm, and we can see the nucleus, and the cell are divided by their cytoskeleton only, so cell membrane. So the cell are divided by their cell membrane, so we can appreciate this clear cell. And we can also appreciate the stroma around this, as I've already discussed in the previous part of this lecture. So if the stroma is present, and if stroma is of course present, if the stroma is present in large amount, then that can result into gray tan appearance of the tumor as well. But usually the stroma is very less, as we can see here. And the stroma is rich in it is rich in the blood vessels, so we can appreciate the stroma is rich in blood vessels, and we can see the clear cells, and they are separated by just their cell membrane. And sometimes, as I've said, there can be the tumor cell will not have enough amount of glycogen or lipid, and such cells are appearing solids, and these are granular appearing cell, and they resemble the tubular epithelium, and they will have small round regular nuclei with granular or pink cytoplasm, and these are less common variants. But this typical form of histology that is seen in typical variants of the clear cell variants of the renal cell carcinoma. So now let us discuss about the next tumor, and the next tumor is our papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma, and it comprises of about 10 to 15% of all the renal cell cancer, and it can occur as I've already discussed in the last video. It can occur in the familial variants or as a sporadic form. So whenever we are talking about papillary renal cell carcinoma, it can be type 1 papillary renal cell carcinoma, or it can be type 2 papillary renal cell carcinoma. So whenever I'll be talking about type 1 papillary renal cell carcinoma, it is associated with a familial syndrome, and that is known as hereditary papillary carcinoma of renal cells. So it is associated with hereditary papillary carcinoma. And whenever I'll be talking about type 2 form of this papillary renal cell carcinoma, then it is associated with hereditary leiomyomatosis plus renal cell carcinoma. So for this, you must watch the previous video that where I have discussed a lot of parameters regarding these variants. And whenever there is a mutation that we consider in type 1, so as I've already said, in type 1 there is a mutation in MATE proto-oncogene, whereas in type 2 we can appreciate mutation in the fumarate hydratase gene mutation. So there is a fumarate hydratase gene mutation in case of type 2. And also in the same video I have talked that type 1 variant is very dangerous, because there is a high grade of anaplasia that can be associated with type 1 renal cell carcinoma as compared to type 2. Sorry, what I have said. Type 1 renal cell carcinoma, as I have said in the last video, it is having low grade, whereas type 2 is having a high grade cancer. And in type 2, we can appreciate large tumor cell with large nuclei and large nucleoli with high degree of anaplasia. Hence, type 2 is more dangerous. It is more dangerous as compared to type 1, which is less dangerous. So let us come and discuss about certain parameters regarding the papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma. So I have already discussed it has type 1 and type 2, and type 1 is low grade, whereas type 2 is high grade. And when we consider type 1 and type 2 variant of papillary renal cell carcinoma, the cell of origin is our distal convoluted tubule. And let us compare it with our last discussed video, and that was about, sorry, not last discussed topic, and that was about clear cell carcinoma. So as we know, in clear cell carcinoma, the cell of origin was proximal convoluted tubule, and in papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma, the cell of origin is distal convoluted tubule. In here, the tumor is multifocal. So whereas in case of clear cell carcinoma, the tumor was usually a unilateral and unifocal tumor, whereas in case of papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma, it is multifocal and bilateral and multifocal. So this is also difference. And it is associated with mutation in the MATE proto-oncogene more commonly, and it is associated with mutation in case of VHL gene mutation. There is a VHL gene mutation. So this is all the difference regarding on the morphology that we can appreciate in clear cell variant versus the papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma. So as the name itself says, papillary variant, so we can appreciate the tumor cells, and there is increased growth of the tumor cell, and this tumor cell will form the papilla. So we can appreciate different papilla, and this papilla will be having a fibrovascular stroma. So we can appreciate the papilla having this is a fibrovascular core of this papilla. And sometimes what may happen that the tumor will grow large enough, and this blood supply would not be enough to supply them. Hence, this area will undergo necrosis, and this lipid will be aggregated, and hence forming psammoma bodies. So calcium will be deposited in this lipid material which has been necrosed, and this will result into psammoma bodies as well. So you must appreciate papilla, and also you must appreciate psammoma body. That is not sure that you will find in every variant, but you can find it as well. So so it is about that. And as I've already said, it can be familial or it can be sporadic. So I've discussed about the familial or sporadic variant. So let us consider in there is mutation in the mate proto-oncogene. So there should be a gain of function mutation in this gene, which is located in chromosome number 7. So how does this gain of function mutation happen? And it happens usually via trisomy. So trisomy of this gene means extra one chromosome of this means extra gene is present, and hence extra growth will happen. Or in case of sporadic variants, also there can be trisomy of chromosome number 7, resulting into extra gene, that is extra mate gene and extra cell proliferation. Or it can also be there is due to loss of Y chromosome. So loss of Y chromosome in male can also result into sporadic variants of papillary renal cell carcinoma. So this is all about papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma about that. And also we must know that in patient having end stage renal disease who undergo dialysis, and in the dialysis there will be formation of cyst, that is known as dialysis associated cystic disease, and from the epithelium lining of this cyst will undergo dysplasia, and that will manifest with a cancer, and this cancer is your papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma. So this is about the important parameter regarding the papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma. So whenever we appreciate the tumor grossly, as I've already said, the tumor is bilateral and multifocal. Means in the you can appreciate tumor in both the kidneys, and you can appreciate the tumor in multiple site of the involved kidney. And also there can be association of necrosis and hemorrhage with cystic degeneration, but it is less vibrantly orange yellow in color because of their lower amount of lipid content. And the tumor which has a high yield of lipid content was our clear cell variant, right? And let us now discuss on the microscopical features. So as I've said, we can appreciate papilla having a fibrovascular core, and the cell may be having a clear or more commonly a pink cytoplasm. So we can appreciate cell having clear or pink cytoplasm. So we can see these are the tumor cell having nuclei which is large. We can also appreciate the nucleoli and the fine chromatin that can be appreciated here. So we can appreciate these all parameters. Plus, there is a very important high yield point is that we can appreciate this cell. We can appreciate this cell, and these cell are our foamy histiocytes. So foamy histiocyte in the stroma can be seen in this patient. We can appreciate foamy histiocyte in places. We can also see these cells, and these cells are usually present. And we can also appreciate the papilla. We can also appreciate the papilla in several having a fibrovascular core as well. So this is our papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma, and we must be knowing this fact regarding papillary variant of renal cell carcinoma, and these are all high yield points. And let us now discuss on the third variant, that is the third very common variant of the renal cell carcinoma, and that is our chromophobe variant. And it is 5% of all renal cell carcinoma that I've discussed. So I have discussed three variants which are very common, and of those three variants, it is the least common variant of renal cell carcinoma. And it is very sad to know that, because it is very less common, because of all the renal cell carcinoma, this tumor has the best prognosis. So this tumor has the best prognosis among all the renal cell carcinoma. Okay? So chromophobe variant of renal cell carcinoma has the best prognosis. And whenever you see the tumor cell, the tumor cell will have a plant cell like appearance. So as we have already been studying for a long period of time from our class 5 6, we can appreciate the histology of the plant cell. So on histologically, it is very similar to plant cell like appearance, and that is usually asked in MCQ sometimes. But more important about this is that the tumor cell will be having oncocytic cells, and this oncocytic cell this tumor cell there will be round to polygonal cell, and this cell will be having eosinophilic cytoplasm. So eosinophilic cytoplasm, and there will be cell membrane will be very prominent in the cell. So there will be prominent cell membrane with round with pale and eosinophilic cytoplasm, and there will be present of the nucleus, and around the nucleus there will be clear halo. So around the nucleus there will be clear halo. So there is a halo around the nucleus, and we can appreciate multiple type of these cells, and the cell will have prominent cell membrane with perinuclear halo and pale eosinophilic cytoplasm, and hence giving the appearance of plant cell like appearance. And it is, as I've already said, it has the best prognosis, and it is associated with extreme degree of hypoploidy. And this hypoploidy means there is a loss of the two chromosome. There is loss of one chromosome in chromosome number 1, in chromosome 2, there in chromosome 6 and 10, 13, 17, and 21. So there is extreme degree of hypoploidy, and there is loss of a lot of chromosome as well. And it is associated with as we can appreciate that the cell of origin is from the intercalated cell of the collecting duct. And I think I have talked these all parameters in one more video of my renal cell carcinoma, sorry, not renal cell carcinoma, with the renal tumors. And yes, we have discussed this in case of our previous video on benign tumors of the kidney, and that is known as oncocytoma. So it is very similar histologically. That chromophobe variant of renal cell carcinoma is very similar histologically with oncocytoma. And how do we differentiate it is via the one stain, and this stain is known as Hales colloidal iron stain, colloidal, CLLOIDAL, colloidal iron stain. Right? So this is the stain that is used to differentiate between the chromophobe variant of renal cell carcinoma and the other, that is was the that is known as oncocytoma. And this is how we differentiate them histologically by using the stains. And we can also appreciate, as I've already said in the last video, that the chromophobe variant of renal cell carcinoma is associated with a syndrome, and this syndrome is known as Birt-Hogg-Tube syndrome. So it is also known as Birt-Hogg-Tube syndrome. So it is associated with this syndrome, and there will be manifested in 3 different sites: in the skin, in the renal cells, and in the lungs, where we will be appreciating pulmonary cyst. So this is also all about the chromophobe variant of renal cell carcinoma, and we can appreciate as the cell has undergone oncocytic change with a lot of mitochondria, and hence because of this mitochondria, the tumor cell will be appearing tan to brown in color, and the cell will stain more darkly, and they are very less clear and than the clear cell variant, and they have a distinct cell membrane. I have discussed about the cell appearance in the last slide as well. So the nucleus is surrounded by a perinuclear halo, and there is presence of slight clear substance. And we can see these cells. So we can appreciate this cell, and we can see the nucleus around this cell are having a perinuclear halo. See, so there is a cell, there is a nucleus, and around the nucleus there is a perinuclear halo, and there is a prominent cell membrane as well. So chromophobe variant of it is made up of pale eosinophilic cells, often with a perinuclear halo, and we can appreciate these all cells are present in seeds. We can appreciate these cells are arranged in solid shape with concentration of largest blood vessel around the blood vessel. So we can see that if this is a blood vessel, then there is aggregation of cell around the blood vessel that can be appreciated as well. So this is all about the important variants of the renal cell carcinoma, and I would like to discuss about few other subtypes which are very less common, but only the important point regarding that subtypes. So one of them is Benelli duct cancer. So Benelli duct cancer. So regarding Benelli duct cancer, it arises from the collecting duct as expected, and it has a very high degree of desmoplasia. I think you know about desmoplasia. Whenever there is increased stromal reaction, and that will result into deposition of stromal tissue around the parenchymal component of a tumor, then it is known as desmoplasia. And it has a very worst prognosis. Just now we discussed about the best prognosis of a tumor, that was our chromophobe variant of the renal cell carcinoma. And now Benelli duct carcinoma has the worst prognosis, and it is to be known. The next tumor that we should discuss is about medullary carcinoma of medullary carcinoma. So you usually appreciate this term medullary term with a lot of tumors. We can also appreciate this term medullary in thyroid tumors like medullary carcinoma of thyroid. So what does this term medullary means? So the term medullary means that the tumor is soft. This is the literal meaning of this term. Whenever the parenchymal component will exceed the stromal component in a tumor, then the tumor will be soft, and these tumors are known as medullary tumors. And the important fact regarding the medullary carcinoma of renal cell is that it is associated with a sickle cell triad. So I have already discussed about that, and the cell of origin is also collecting duct. And the third type of renal cell carcinoma that we can appreciate is XP11 translocation carcinoma of renal cell. So XP11 translocation of renal cell carcinoma, and there is a mutation that is present in the TFE3 gene, which is present in the short arm of chromosome number. So chromosome number X at the and the short arm of chromosome number X at the 11th loci, we can appreciate this gene, and there is a mutation in this gene, and hence it will be manifesting with renal cell carcinoma in young individuals. So it is usually we appreciate renal cell carcinoma in case of older individuals, but this happens in young individuals. Hence, I mentioned this tumor as well. So this is all about the renal cell carcinoma. So I have made 3 videos on renal cell tumors. So the first video was about benign tumors, and the second video I talked about many factors regarding the familial variants and other factors as well. And this video was entirely dedicated towards diagnosing with pathological slides. I hope you understood this video. Thank you very much for the patient listening.